So today we're joined by two special guests. I'm gonna have you guys introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you're originally from, and just maybe a little bit about your hobbies.
Okay, hey everybody. My name is LaPierre Harvin, aka Mr. LP. I am originally from Philadelphia, right outside of Philly, a small town called Alden, a nice little suburban town. Some of my hobbies are cooking. I really love cooking and infusing some of the Vietnamese cuisine to what I know, and DJing. I love all sorts of music, but I love hip hop the most.
Hey everyone, my name is Skoti. I'm from Cupertino, California, Apple headquarters. I live in D1 now by Bouving Walking Street. A lot of energy, a lot of people there, so I like the vibe there a whole lot. My hobbies are running, climbing mountains, hiking, trekking, playing baseball, playing football, American football, not soccer, and just enjoying Vietnamese food.
Wow. Okay, can I ask two extra questions here? First, your fusion cooking, is that what you're doing right now? Fusion Vietnamese and
Just
American
adding,
cooking?
yeah. So I'll take like an American dish and then add like a Vietnamese style, like the noodles or like some of the sauces to like either like a hamburger or tacos here. Just trying my best to eat as well as possible because the food here is like top tier.
What's a recent dish you've experimented with?
Maybe like a soup and adding like some chicken to it, like some teriyaki chicken or like some fried chicken, and then switching the sauce with like some sesame, and then just throwing French fries on the side of it. Just super easy and like, hey, let's throw some French fries into that.
Can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
And then Scotty, you said climbing mountains.
Yes.
And I think you shared that you went on a mountain trip recently.
Yes.
Right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was super fun. It was in Dalat. So it was a good maybe like 6 hours, 8 hours away on a bus ride, but it was very fun. But the things I didn't think Vietnam would be cold like that, but it was freaking cold and it was windy, and the terrain was tough. So now I understand why the Vietnamese people are so resilient, so tough, man. They had to go through a lot. The terrain there is no joke.
Right.
Seriously, it's up, it's down, it's rocky, it's uneven, it's slippery, it's all of that.
Wow.
I didn't even feel like it was trekking. It felt like training.
Yeah, and this is in Dalat.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we should have just marched instead of like trekked that thing because it was long and it was tough.
That's really cool.
Well worth it.
Yeah, that's amazing because I think for me, Dalat is always kind of like this romantic little place with a little lake, and then you can go like, wear a jacket, but I didn't expect it to be like an extreme sports destination.
It was extreme to the max, but it was well worth it. I totally would do it again.
Next, I just want to talk about where you guys are from. I'll share where I'm from and just kind of like what life was like. So I'm originally from Los Angeles, but specifically the San Fernando Valley. I was born there, I was raised there. And when I think about my life back then, I think that first word that comes to mind is diverse. LA is just diverse in general, but my neighborhood and especially the high school that I went to, everybody was there. We had like almost like equal representation of like all the different Asian groups. There were folks from like just the whole spectrum, like rich folks, poor folks, all colors and sizes, and I think that really left an imprint on me growing up, like just kind of open-minded, I guess, but like used to just like a whole wide spectrum of cultures and walks of life. And I would say it's even like kind of a cliche high school where we had like the goths and the jocks and like, stuff like that. Yeah, actually the crazy thing is this was back in, long time ago. This was back in 99, 2000, my freshman year.
Great years.
Great years, for sure. HBO actually came and did a reality show called Freshman Year, and it was my freshman year. and they followed us around. I wasn't one of the main characters. I think I had like some appearances, but they followed around like who they picked, the class president, the quote unquote nerdiest kid, the jock, and stuff like that. And they did like a series, reality show following us around.
Is this on YouTube anywhere?
The first episode is still on YouTube. Yeah, check it out, guys. It's called Freshman Year by HBO. The rest of it is gone. I wish I could find it. Yeah. You might see me, maybe the back of my head somewhere if you really look really, really close. Yeah, but that was my experience. Just kind of being used to like all these different groups. We had our own little niche, but just having that diversity, that and that multicultural kind of life back in LA. Yeah.
Okay, so I grew up in Cupertino, California. I went to Lincoln, Kennedy, Monte Vista, and De Anza, so did the whole thing in Cupertino. I think most people know Cupertino, but if you have an iPhone, just look at the back and it says made somewhere else, but designed in Cupertino. So I always brag that, dude, my hometown is where Apple is at. And I remember living right across the street from Apple when the logo was still multicolor.
Oh yes, I remember that.
So, and I remember using the Macintosh and putting the floppy disk into the computer and playing Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
So living in Cupertino that was probably one of the best stretches of my life. Living there was early 90s, I would say, from like 93 up till about 98 or so.
Yeah.
And that was just fun, from clothing to music to hair to TV shows to everything. Man, it was fun. I always reflect on my time in Cupertino.
Yeah.
It was very, very fun. I loved it a whole lot.
Had a taste of that.
Yeah. Good weather, too.
Alden, Pennsylvania. Very small town outside of Philadelphia. I would say all 4 seasons. All 4 distinct, heartbreaking, heart-wrenching, heart-engorging, all seasons. Like summer was summer. It was hot. It's kind of like here now, Saigon. Love it. But it was hot, super hot. The winter, sometimes I would see deer tracks like in our lawn because the deer would just like pop up through the forest in our backyard. So then there was like foxes and like all kinds of critters and Disney animals that like would just like pop up. Yeah. My mom would be like, get out of here, like get out of our yard. But for me as a youngster, as a youngling, it was pretty exciting to see. Spring, you got all sorts of beautiful flowers, like again here in Saigon, and it was just like super, super beautiful. And like really, I could just remember all sorts of different things from being back home. And that's kind of why I love being here in Saigon too. Like I get to see all sorts of different amazing flowers, and the food here is just, really striking, and I can remember it like I do food from back home. So yeah, it's a nice place to be.
How does Vietnam compare to your hometown or where you grew up?
Cupertino back then was very diverse. You had Koreans, Chinese, Vietnamese, Japanese, all sorts of different people. But not far away from Cupertino was San Jose, and San Jose has a huge Vietnamese community. So man, I had all the great pho, cơm tấm, bánh hỏi, bánh mì, everything. So it didn't even coming here. It feels like I'm living back in the Bay Area in California from the 90s. I'm telling my man here, it just feels like living in the 90s, like the golden times of my life living back there. So comparing it wise, I would say it was great growing up during that decade, but I'm reliving that now.
Yeah.
So it feels like deja vu in the best way.
Beautiful. Feels like home.
Yeah. I feels like I haven't even left.
Right.
I don't even feel like the same person as I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The different kind of niche cultures of like videography and the creative scene, the dance scene. There's different communities that are really finding their own lanes and their own paths here in Saigon. And that reminds me of Philly. That reminds me of Philadelphia, where it's a walkable city, right? It's still kind of a smaller city, but there are so many cool and creative and wonderful opportunities happening right now, like just like in the 90s. It is amazing to see, because I was in Philly when a lot of the bigger creatives were coming out of the city at the time for our era. And now to be here in Saigon and sort of have that same feeling of a thirst for knowledge or a thirst for creativity, like a wanting to do things and then fail, or hey, this may not be the best, but we love to do it. Let's build it and then tear it down and then build it again and do what we love to do. I think it's I'm happy and blessed to be here right now.
Yeah, that's amazing, because what both of you guys said kind of speaks to how multidimensional like living in Saigon is right now, and just Saigon itself, because you talked about this familiarity, this kind of like time capsule of the 90s, all the food and like just the nostalgia, which is definitely still here, right? It's still here. People are proud of it here. It's preserved. I hope it never changes, and probably will never change. It is the essence of Saigon and Vietnamese culture. And then the other side of it is this innovation, this creativity, this energy, and this thirst, as you said, for, you know, building something new. And I don't know if you agree with me, but right now it feels like this kind of beautiful time to be here. Might be the best time to be here. It's like a golden age right now of Vietnamese creativity in terms of like music, fashion, you know, young people like kind of tapping into, you know, all the, you know, things happening in the world and then creating something beautiful and unique. You know, just that drive to create, I think right now is like you can taste it. Yeah. Right? And it is really thrilling to be here, and it's kind of like, you know, there's something for everybody here, it feels like. Yeah. So living in Vietnam, what does a typical week look like for you?
I would say Monday through Friday. Well, the weeks here are different because in the States it's Monday through Friday. For us, it's Monday through Saturday here. Mm-hmm. So I tutor, I teach one-on-one. So I like that a whole lot. I go running, I climb, indoor climbing. I do my teaching, and then I meet up with my teammate. We play a little bit of baseball. We do a little bit of American football, and I hang out with my girlfriend. And that would be my week, and I love it. I wouldn't change it in any other way.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
I would say it's more of a typical day for me. The week is just an elongated period of time, right? So I go about it in days. So a typical day would be, first and foremost, when I wake up, I meditate. I need to take time for self before engaging in everyone else or engaging with anyone else. And then breakfast, and then my affirmations. Gotta feel the body, then I gotta feel the mind. And then after that, whatever the day sort of has plans, right? So right now I'm teaching high schools, public high schools here in D10 and D6. So depending on what our lesson is, some days I help out with events around the city. Depending on what that is, entails a different kind of day. And then at night, typically dinner with my boo. Gotta make time for that. And then there's nighttime affirmations. Thankful for what happened during the day. Thankful for what didn't happen during the day. And then I sometimes go to sleep, but I try my best to read before going to sleep at night. I know we live in technology world 2025, but for me there's something really nostalgic about reading a book. I haven't done my best lately, but I try my best to read something before I go to sleep and sort of have that technology shut down to help my body get a better sleep.
I just go back to how there's something for everybody here. Like, I'm just really impressed by how, like, you guys are able to find the activities that work best for you. And I still think about people who don't know that about Saigon or Vietnam in general, where they're like, what is that place? It's like a third world country. Like, you know, I'm thinking like, you know, jungles, or it's so backwards or whatever, you know, and like, you know, you guys have come here and like, you've like kind of created this routine where you have like so many things to pick from, you know, like that's what I feel Saigon is. It's like it's like a buffet of activities for you. There's really everything here, maybe more than what I had access to back in like suburbia LA neighborhood, You know, it's just like there's so much to do that you almost have too much, and then you gotta like decompress and take time for yourself.
I definitely had a relearning of what boundaries are coming here, because there's so many wonderful things you could do. And in the beginning, I was saying yes to a lot of things. I was like, yes, let's do this. Oh, yes. I was like, was that Jim Carrey in Yes Man? I was like, yes. And then it became overwhelming. I got stressed. And just because of the abundance of stuff, I had to, have boundaries and really make a choice. And now it's just, I can say no to that. Oh, that looks great. Or like, hey, that's not for me, but you go right ahead and do that. That'll be perfect for you. So yeah, there's so many beautiful things, but
yeah, too many.
Not far behind California, if not surpassing it.
Yeah, in terms of activities, you mean?
Yeah, everything. There's just, you have choices. Like, not only can you eat at like one or two good restaurants or shop at one or two good thrift shops, there's hell of them.
Yeah. And this might be a little controversial. Let's just go there. It's the irony, because it's communist, right? It's a communist country. The hammer and sickle flag is flying all over the place here.
Yeah.
And yet you have very capitalist things happening here. There's choices. There's things for everybody.
Yeah.
There's plenty of consumerism if you want it. There's more things that you could ever buy in a lifetime here. And it's just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah, it's a bit contradictory, but you know what? I'm glad we have that.
Yeah.
And it's not limited.
No, same here. I think I'm trying to speak to kind of like the misconception
of
exactly. This place,
absolutely.
Or what it is,
Absolutely. Until people come here and they witness it, they're like, whoa, this is a lot better than where I came from.
Yeah. It's all here. So we do have to, point out that it can't all be, rainbows and sunshine, so did you have any challenges, trying to adjust or living in Vietnam?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Western culture where we come from, saying please, thank you, letting women go on the bus first, opening the doors for them. They do not do that here. Right. I do it here, and they look at me weird, but I said, that's totally okay. You know what? I teach my own girlfriend, say please, say thank you, give a little bit of gratitude. People here like to kind of keep their emotions in, which is not a good thing. So I'm telling her to be more expressive, like how we do it in the West, not to coop things up.
Yeah.
That's one thing. And then another thing is pedestrians come first where we come from.
Right.
They do not. They do not come first here. So it's like playing Frogger. I don't know if anyone remembers that game, but going across the streets like playing Frogger. But it's okay because the Vietnamese people are very talented in driving. They avoid you. Yeah, you just go. Like, I'm pretty sure if I did a blind test and blindfolded myself and walked across the street, I would not get hit because they would just avoid you. So those were some big challenges to get used to. But I think with the right direction, the right teaching, the newer generation might be able to get that, you know? And just the other big challenge is just sitting down and eating, having someone smoke right next to you is not a good thing. So I just picked myself up and moved to another place because I cannot be eating and having someone smoke a cigarette right next to me.
Yeah, and I'm going to speak to that a little bit just because I used to kind of frame that as like Western versus Eastern thinking. But nowadays, I think of it as just kind of like, being more efficient and like you said, with pedestrians, I think that even the government now has made it more strict with traffic laws. It's been very recent, like they've been correcting a lot of like kind of driving behavior that's caused a lot of problems. It's just about fixing problems here. So like I've heard, I haven't seen it written down, but like there is a law now where if you don't give a pedestrian right of way, you do get fined. So it is protecting pedestrians now. I've been noticing a lot less driving on the sidewalk now, right? Whereas before it was just like, that's just default, right? Like people don't even think about it, right? It's like, oh, it's jammed right there. I'm just gonna pop up here. Let me just cut off this person walking, like nothing. But now it's like all kind of shifting, and a lot of people complain about that in the beginning. It's like, it's too fast, it's too drastic, people can't afford the fines. But I think the government knew that, it's time to kind of like make things more efficient. Not only that, but also to kind of protect people, make it safer.
The other thing that I'm kind of just doing on my own, don't really encourage it to everyone, but I'm walking in the crosswalk, and if a motorcycle's about to go in front of me, I kind of walk faster so it doesn't cut me off, because you can easily just go behind me. Dude, just drive right behind me. You don't have to cut me off in front of my face.
Yeah.
Even with cars on a crosswalk, I go, and if they keep going, I keep going.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they want to hit me on a crosswalk with a million cameras watching them.
Right.
So I'm brave to do that, because I think hopefully it would teach them better driving habits.
Yeah.
Like I walk across the crosswalk all the time. My area is crowded with tourists.
Yeah.
And they always cut them off right in front of their face for no reason. Dude, just go behind us.
Yeah.
Just go behind us. You don't have to cut us off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Have a little patience. So I'm hoping that will help change their driving behavior a little bit, but just like, welcome the people that are here. It's what makes your economics go.
Right.
So you don't want a bad impression of that. I'm Vietnamese myself. I just don't want us to have a bad name like that.
Right. 100%. You're not alone. You're not alone. And like I said, like, the government is recognizing it. There's a critical mass of like locals recognizing it. And, there's locals that are listening to tourists, to Westerners who come here and saying like, hey, I love Vietnam. I'm not going to come back because it's stressing me out, and it's like not great because traffic's all crazy, and there's all these problems here. Like, I don't feel that comfortable. And Vietnamese people are like, instead of resisting that and being like, you know what, never come back here, we don't want you here, they're like, no. Like, Vietnamese people are smart enough to be like, no, we want you to come back. Like, we gotta fix this. Like, I think that they're just way too smart to be like, we need to protect this. We need to encourage people coming here, and we need to make Vietnam and Vietnamese people, Vietnamese culture look better. And then circling back to like, that innovation now, this age now, and the young people leading the movement of not just like, inventing, music and pushing the limits of fashion and things like that. But it's also like, how do we make Vietnam just a better place in general? Yeah.
Big challenges for me, breaking out of the grind culture mindset from the States or from the West. I loved the fact that there are naps here. There is a designated nap time during the day. And as much as I love sleep and advocate for sleep, I was on it when we first got here. But just because I was napping, I would still, how do I put this? I would still feel guilty for resting. Like, I would still feel jittery sometimes. Like, I need to be doing more. I need to produce more. I need to work more. I need to be learning more. I need to be like the robot from the Terminator. Like, I need to be just on it. And what I loved about it when we moved here is that it would be, okay, let's get up early, let's work, let's do what we need to do, let's go through the traffic, let's get our breakfast, and then we nap.
Yeah.
Like, you can take time to rest, to preserve your body. You can do what you need to do without physically killing yourself.
Yeah.
And then get up, do the whole second half of your day, do whatever you need to do, nighttime stuff, boom, go to sleep. Right. So the biggest adjustment for me was the mindset of it, because I would still take a nap. I would love taking a nap. Like, I would actually feel so much better the second half of the day and be like, oh yeah, this is why we came out here. This is why we moved out here. Some of the ideologies, but it took some earth time for my body, for that to sift through and say, hey, it's okay. This is another way of life that you can do. You can have this nap. You don't have to work 9 to 5 straight through to achieve what you want. You don't have, there are so many different things outside of what you know, and this is just one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that you picked up from Vietnamese culture.
Yes, 100%. Especially because from my Black American culture, there is some trauma there mixed with the Western culture. So coming here, culture shock is not even the best term to put it. It was that times 8 for me. Yeah. So even understanding the mindset that, hey, we're not going to dock your pay, or we're not going to punish you for sleeping or for napping or for resting with the intention of you're going to do better when you wake up. For me, that was something that just blew my brain out.
Yeah. That's something that I noticed too. Is there's this layer, right? So when you see Vietnamese people on the surface, it does look like they're in a hurry. They're grinding, and they are. They're grinding hard. But then there's this stream that runs through all of it where it's just like, whoa, chill, take a nap. Chill, your mom needs some groceries. You're going to be late. Yeah. It's okay. There is that in this culture where, you know, there's other priorities besides like being super punctual to some meeting. It's not as important as like, you know, helping your grandma, you know, with her medicine in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, and like rushing was a huge thing for me. Like it wasn't crossing the street. It wasn't the language. It wasn't a different language coming here. It wasn't the language barrier. I was super open to whatever happens when it came to moving from one continent to another. It was the undercurrent stream that the programming from before was built in, and now I see a different stream, a different program, a different way of life, and I go, oh wow, I can do this. Oh wow, I can learn English. Right? Yep. I can do these things that I might be afraid to do, but with the right team and with the right people and with the right community, it was a really good thing.
Yeah. You know what? Like that reminds me, like even circling back to what we talked about, Skoti, about like these big changes that are happening. Like we need to fix a lot of the inefficiency, fix, you know, a lot of people like kind of going around the laws, things like that here, right? To protect people, make it safer and like all those things. But at the same time, like there is also like this current, I don't know if you agree, going through all of that where people don't have this Western, I'm going to call it a Western mentality of like trying to fix everything now, like today. We need to fix all of this right now, you know, boom, 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 make it super efficient. Like there's a stream like runs through Vietnamese culture where, you know, like it's going to take time, and I'm not going to like go crazy about all these things happening, you know, immediately. And one example I can think of is how people react to traffic stuff here. Road rage is a lot less, I think, here.
It doesn't exist.
Than in the States.
It can't exist.
Yeah, here. I see people like, yeah, there is maybe someone cutting you off, or maybe someone even like, you know, nudged you or something like that. Something happened, and like people are literally smile at each other. I've seen fights too. Don't get me wrong, that happens too. But like 9 out of 10 times where I'm like in the U.S., that's a fight right there. People are like, oh, yeah, that's right. And then they just smile and they just head off, and then that's it. You know, it's just like they're not throwing a fit like, you know, you're not doing this how you're supposed to, blah, blah. It's just like, all right, it's just the way it is. When it happens, you know. Things are going to move in that direction. But, you know, we can all kind of like protect our mental space and just kind of go through our day, you know.
No, I agree with it. Road rage cannot exist here. Number one. Number two is honking where we're from is not accepted here. Yeah. It's a normal part of the day. You know, if I'm on a motorbike riding with a grab or a son, and I see someone walking across the street and my guy just honks at them, I'm like, dude, you don't have to honk at that person. You just go around them. Or just wait till they go. There's no need for that extra honk, or they'll continuously honk. I don't mind the honking if it's like, okay, I'm coming. Like, be careful, I'm behind you or something. But they honk here to be like, get the F out of my way. Yeah. That I don't like.
No.
That's rude. It's like, dude, just let them know that you're on the way. That's cool. You don't have to be like, get out of my way. I'm coming. Yeah. So I just hope we change that, because it's just it's not a good look. If we just change that, I think the tourists would be like, dang, this is pretty normal here. You know, not far behind Japan, Korea, China, or those countries where they're a little bit more civilized.
Yeah. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about, like, you know, coming from many cultures. You know, we kind of see both sides, and like, you know, we could kind of be that bridge, that medium to like be like, hey guys, you know, maybe we can do this, you know. And like Vietnamese people now, I think, are in this time when like they're open to it, you know, and like, yeah, it's all kind of improving, moving forward. Any advice you guys have for anyone who is a newcomer here or thinking about moving here?
Yes, I have plenty of advice. I would say the first thing is don't come here and try to change anything. Like, don't bring your ideals or your routines or whatever you did back then. Don't compare it to here, because it's not where you came from.
You're gonna be going home real quick.
Exactly. I never did that because I'm like, dude, I chose to move here. I need to adjust to how they do things here. So I don't mind the cutting off or whatever. I just do my own thing and I do it quietly. I don't voice my opinion. I don't say certain things. I don't do certain things to make it feel like, oh, I'm from America, it's better, I'm going to come here and try to change. Don't try to change anything.
Right.
Like, you chose to come here. You need to adjust to how we do things here.
Yeah.
So don't come here trying to be like,
Yeah.
the game changer. You're not going to do that.
Right. And there's other ways to do that. And that sounds like what you're doing is just kind of like, stick to your principles, but like, don't get in anyone's face about it. You know what I mean? Like, stick to what you do.
Yeah, don't be the boisterous
American
dude that thinks he's a badass coming over here and trying to do stuff. Like,
don't
do that
all the time.
I see it. I'm like, I just keep my mouth shut because I don't want to be involved in that. Like, get sucked into that, then that negative energy sticks with me. So I'm like, man, you do your thing. But my advice is don't do that. Just come here and be yourself. Adjust to your environment. Don't have the environment adjust to you.
Honestly, I feel bad for them. Like, people who come here, they're outsiders who are like, just throwing a fit and just like, oh my God, it's terrible, blah, 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 do it this way, Like, they're carrying all that stress. And, I just want to tell them, like, Vietnamese people don't care.
They
like,
care less.
They're just out there like, oh, what's wrong with this guy? Because like, that's not happening. You're not changing nothing by going super negative and throwing a fit like that. No one's convinced by you doing that. You're just hurting yourself, and then you're just gonna leave this place, have a bad taste in your mouth, and have a bad experience in Vietnam. It could have been better for you. Right, but you had to choose the negative route because Vietnamese people aren't going to change. They're not changing around you by you doing that, and that's kind of like what I've been learning about Vietnamese people. It's like, wow, it's like a power. They're like, yeah, you can just feel what you feel, but
Oh, they stick together for sure. So yeah, that's biggest advice, man. You come here and just be yourself. Adjust to your environment. Do not try to be like a superhero out here.
Be kind and show up. Be kind meaning be kind to yourself. If you need to eat first, do that before you do anything. If you need to get something to drink, just be kind. Talk to yourself in a nice way, right? Be kind to, like you guys were saying, in your situations with interacting with people. They don't care. People don't care about your issues or anything, right? So if you're throwing a hissy fit or if you're getting mad, you're right. It more times won't help the situation, right? So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, be kind to your robots, just be kind, right? And show up, right? Show up meaning be impeccable with your word. If you say you're going to be somewhere, do your best, right? Saigon traffic is unpredictable, right? And again, it's cool because sort of the time thing is a little different from the West, right? That undercurrent stream. But also show up and meaning be honest. So if you're not going to be somewhere, hey, just communicate and do that. Or show up and just, if you're thinking about trying this new food that you've never tried before, just try it, right? YOLO, like you never know what's going to happen. So be kind either to yourself or to others or to whoever, and show up, meaning do what's right for you and for others.
Very nice. All right, guys. Just want to thank both of you guys for joining us today and sharing your experiences. I had a blast, good conversation, and a lot of good tips for people. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Check out Survival Vietnamese for Vietnamese language, courses, and make sure you guys like and subscribe. See ya.